There was a situation in February. Carrie Ann was given a question to ask Elaine, and Carrie Ann didn't want to ask it, but it came from the producers to ask Elaine. And it was, if black people can use the N-word, why can't white people use the N-word?
I would love to hear what you have to say.
Which is a very naive question to ask. We all know why. So Elaine got very upset with her response. Carrie Ann started to cry. So we agreed we would never surprise each other with questions if we thought the other one hadn't been prepped. And we said we will never put ourselves in this situation again where we set each other up. So we all agreed as women, got your back. I finished saying what I'm saying, and then Cheryl asked me these questions, which I didn't know, and they were written questions, and then Elaine's reading her questions.
Stand up for anti-racism.
And I'm like, I've been set up. Don't try and cry, because if anyone should be crying, it should be me. And I went like, how dare you all do this to me? I'm your sacrificial lamb. So in the break, I'm like, talk to me, Cheryl, talk to me, what is going on? She wouldn't, I lost it even further.
Hey, good morning, good morning. A to Jet Noise is what you are listening to. I am your host, and I am very interested in how we're all feeling about, that's just a microcosm, the Sharon Osbourne situation. And it's approaching 2 weeks now since the Piers Morgan incident. I think that's the Piers Morgan thing is about 2 weeks, and the Sharon Osbourne thing is approaching the 2 weeks of what all went down. And it's interesting how exactly what happened to Piers Morgan is what happened to Sharon Osbourne. Except in Piers's case, I think it's safe to say that he made it easy for CBS. Because he walked off the stage. Again, A to Jet Noise. Catch me on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, Parler. Little sparse on MeWe, but we're gonna get that up and going again. That's the whole cancel culture thing is incredibly interesting, because what we're getting is, it's not just your cancel culture is not just something went wrong and you're removing that person. What we're getting is setups. Now, you may have been young, 13, 14, 15 years old, and said something stupid on social media, and people are going back and they're just going through your old tweets or Facebook posts or what have you, and trying and attempting to tear you down there. And in many cases, it's working. Just like the Teen Vogue situation with McCammon, that she was talking about Asians. I don't know if they're necessarily derogatory, but she wasn't necessarily happy with some of the Asian people that she was running into. So she would lash out on social media. And that ended up getting her fired. Condé Nast, the owners of Teen Vogue, the mothership of Teen Vogue, if you will, ended up getting rid of her before these old posts. And the irony is, and it's Teen Vogue, so you have to excuse me. I don't remember but there's one of the young women that was completely against McCammon's hiring at Teen Vogue. She had some questionable. She had some questionable posts herself, using the N-word, and it was McCammon is. She looks biracial. She's black. She does look biracial, and her posts were questionable against Asians. In this case, the young lady that was against McCammon's hiring, and I'm sure is thrilled that she's gone now, she's Asian and had some derogatory things or some questionable things to say about black people, or using the N-word in not so nice terms. So will she be canceled? Or is it right now that the violence that we see against Asians, is that's going to protect her? Is that going to be an umbrella in that case? Yeah, because turnabout's fair play, right? But when I said that Sharon Osbourne and Piers Morgan faced the same thing, CBS, if you listen to that interview with on Entertainment Tonight with Sharon Osbourne, she goes on to say that she felt set up. She apologized. She did apologize to Cheryl, but Cheryl hasn't gotten back to her, and she understands where she might be. Sharon Osbourne, and understands where Cheryl would be a little angry, upset, hurt when she was confronted. But going back to the Piers and Sharon comparison, Sharon's defended her friend Piers Morgan, said that he wasn't racist. She didn't necessarily say that she agreed with what he said, although I agreed with what he said. What he was talking about Meghan Markle and how he didn't believe her. And there's nothing about Meghan Markle that says believe her. Nothing. That I just haven't seen it. Just seeing, just knowing of her past and hearing from her friends. Because one of the things that she talked about was that she didn't know anything about royalty or anything like that, and her and her friends said that they would always talk about how it would be to be married to a royal. So that was like kind of her thing. So I think if you ask me, she landed Harry. She landed him. I think she knew what she was getting into. She had the opportunity to meet him. She met him. She put on the I don't know, Mad Men secretary thing, and she's in. I think she expected something different. I don't know, like Disney, she was going to be some sort of Disney princess or something along that lines. I think she expected some sort of power, and she didn't get that, and things weren't going the way she wanted it to. So here she has Harry. They have the baby. I hope there's some sort of love from her to him, because Harry's a dunce. That goes without saying. But back to Piers. Piers said he didn't agree with her, and he didn't believe her, and he was confronted by I think his name is Alex Beresford. He's their weather guy on Good Morning Britain. And I don't know necessarily how their friendship is. I know there was a situation where we know that during this confrontation, Piers Morgan walked off the set. He was done. and you can tell it dawned on him, I'm being preached to. I've been set up. All right, so he got his, Piers said what he said, and Alex, they made sure that they had the person of color sit down and give Piers well, I don't find you racist, but can you see where others would? Well, and there was nothing that Piers can say that would say, "Hey, look, this is my opinion about Meghan Markle." I don't remember saying he didn't get didn't get the chance to say this. I don't remember saying anything that was racist in my comments about Meghan Markle. I just don't believe it, and I just don't believe that the royal family is what she says they are. I don't believe that what the things that she said during the Oprah interview actually happened. So Mr. Beresford was not listening to that. He had preconceived things that he that he needed to get out, and I think that CBS, the executives at CBS, made sure that those things were aired, made it on the air, and they needed Mr. Beresford to be even keel. But like I said, I don't know how the situation between Beresford and Morgan are, because not that long ago, Piers Morgan was guy teasing another guy, which guy teasing Beresford. So and guy teasing can get rough. And basically, what he did was he undermined Beresford's job, because he wanted to get. They were chatting along. All the co-hosts were chatting along, and Beresford was kind of leaning over the desk, and he seemed a little annoyed that he couldn't get to his weather segment. And Piers Morgan said, "Here, I'll give you the weather. It's going to be hot all week." That's what he said. It's going to be hot all week. You know, there's not going to be any rain or anything like that. And Beresford got really annoyed, took off his mic, and walked off the set. All right, so like I said, I don't know where their situation is. I don't know if they're really good friends where they can do that to each other, and just Beresford was not having it that day, and because guys can do that. They can do that to each other and remain friends. Or there's some deep-rooted feelings that these guys have against each other, or one has against the other, what have you. But the reason Piers Morgan walked off the set is because he knew he was set up. He was set up, and he probably didn't think that he was set up by Beresford. Beresford was sent out as the dare I say, the grinder monkey, man. Yeah. Here, you're the guy. You're black. You get to say this. Now, whether or not Beresford believed what he was saying, and I think he did, but he was set out by CBS to cut down one of his coworkers, to cut him down. When Osbourne defended her friend, Piers Morgan, they did the same thing between Cheryl and Sharon. They set her up. The executive producers they gave some critical race theory questions to Sharon Osbourne. I'm not saying Sharon's innocent. She is Sharon Osbourne. She is an older generation. She is She is as far as I know, Sharon is boomer, late boomer. I think that's safe to say. And when you get to us early Xers, there is a freedom of speech, a way of handling whether it be uncomfortable situations, whether it be race issues, or what have you. It's dealt with humor, enlightenment, and a sense of family. I don't care whether you agree with that or not. What I'm saying is, we're able to cut each other down. I was saying that backwards. We're able to lift each other up by cutting each other down. We turn. If you become my friend, I get to pick on you, and it's no holds bar. That is something that is not understood by millennials and Gen Zs, and I'm sure any generations to follow that after that. That is it's just not a thing. It's not a thing. It's not a knock. I find it unfortunate that I do find it unfortunate that you can't have that freedom of being, fun with each other without being offended. Certainly without being offended. Look, we grew up. The boomers and the Xers grew up in the most racist of times, and it's a little frustrating for us to see how easily offended and hurt and walking this walking on eggshells type thing. It's hard for us to understand, to fathom, and I think when the last Xer is gone, the world that they're trying to make now is what we're going to see. And that's people say that conservatives are afraid of change. I mean, it's in the name, conservative. No, change is inevitable. What it is that the idea of truth is being just washed away with change, and the idea that we have to be a part of the change when we're just fine the way we are. And for people that feel offended by that, it's crazy. So the cancel culture, Sharon went on to say, hey, look, it's the cancel culture. And that's exactly what it is. And what's happening is more of the left thinkers, are starting to see what's happening with this cancel culture thing. And it's unstoppable. It's unstoppable. And they will get you. They will find a way to get you. So I just wanted to touch on that because it was kind of like the whole Osbourne Morgan situation. It's kind of like the top cancel culture thing going on in the world right now. Which I'm just saying that other than the cancel culture in business and so on, other than that, the one that everyone can relate to is, of course, the celebrities that are right there in front of you. And it all sparks back to Meghan Markle, who is no doubt a cancel culture advocate. And all of this started with a crappy interview about two idiots, Harry and Meghan, that aren't quite telling the truth. How do I know? I don't. I'm just saying that nothing about nothing about their past, Harry wearing the Nazi uniform, the nude pictures of Harry, the Meghan turning her back on her family, the old videos of Meghan, who just an unlikable kid, that everything was going fine. Even when she got there, everything was going fine. But she gets to come back and tell everybody that, hey, these people are just bad people. I don't know. I'm assuming that the Royals, and the fact that I even have to defend the Royals is disturbing to me, because I am not a Royals kind of person. So that's disturbing to me. But I don't see the only one I do like, the only one I do care for, that I have actual feelings care for, is the Queen, because I think she's a cool little old lady. I think she's got a great sense of humor. She's a dog lover, so we got something in common. I just think she's a cool little lady, not because she's a queen, because she handles herself really well. But that's neither here nor there. I'm done talking about the idea that I'm talking about Meghan Markle is disturbing. But yeah, I truly believe Morgan and Osbourne were set up. They were set up in the same way. They said something. That could have been seen as, I don't know, not anti-racist, whatever that means. And so the executives at CBS immediately rounded up the black people and said, hey, go out there and say this for us so that we look like champions during this cancel culture barrage. Man, let's get into something other than this madness. And let's get into some more madness. Alleged Boulder, Colorado gunman ID. I was all ready to, give you his name. I'm sure his name was Steve Smith, the whitest white guy. He was wearing his hood, he was carrying a burning cross. He had a 30-06, because that's the whitest gun I can think of. He had a 30-06, and he was he just came in and just like, Trump, MAGA Trump, MAGA Trump. I was ready to give you all the good whiteness, but it seems that the gunman's name is actually Ahmad Al-Alawi Alissa. Ahmad Alissa. That's what I got for you. Ahmad Alissa. Look, this guy was a terrorist sympathizer. He was is Islamic terrorist sympathizer. Not a good Muslim. Not a good Muslim. You will run into Muslims every single day that are just beautiful. So don't get that in your head. But you're going to run into some people that are this guy. And as far as I can tell, there's nothing about this guy that is what the media wanted. And if you notice that on the media was taking so long, we're still waiting for details. We're still waiting for details. And then meanwhile on Twitter, Hollywood, man, they just was just like, white guys with guns, white Christians with guns, white. They could more white if they were eating vanilla ice cream on white bread in a snowstorm. That is what Hollywood wanted. That is exactly, including Kamala Harris's niece. Was it Niecy Harris? Who had the vice president's family can get on and just, white guys with guns, white men with guns, just, they're terrorists. They're awful people. And then dude's name comes out, Ahmad Al-Aliwi Alissa. That's what we got. So, if you wanted it to be a white guy, my apologies. It wasn't a white guy. The New York Post reports that Alyssa was Alyssa Milano. Alyssa was charged with 10 counts of first-degree murder on Tuesday. Boulder Police Chief Maris Harold noted that Alyssa lived in Arvada, Colorado, and pointed out that his 10 alleged victims were between ages 20 and 65. As for the victims, one of them was an officer that was killed. He was 51 years old. I have the names of the victims. If you don't mind, I'll read those. Denny Strong, who was 20. Nevin Stanisic, 23. Ricky Olds, 25. Trelana Bartkowik, my apologies to the Bartkowik family, 49. Suzanne Fountain, 59. Terry Leaker, 51. Officer Talley, 51. Kevin Mahoney, 61. Lynn Murray, 62. And Jody Waters. Judging by some of those surnames, we can assume that the victims, many of the victims, were white, which is not exactly the narrative that the media is asking, is wanting, yearning for. So, it's bad enough that this man commits a mass murder. But we can't depend on the media to just give us the details or the facts, because it doesn't fit their narrative. And then instantly, they went into gun control talk. And I can tell you, and I'm sure you've heard it a million times before, Chicago has the strictest gun laws in the country. And Chicago cannot stop murder. They just cannot stop the murder right now. Boulder, Colorado itself, meth is, it's an assembly line of dead people. Body bags. It could be, they might as well have a conveyor belt right in the middle of Boulder, Colorado, and just, as they die, you stuff them in a bag, throw it on the semi, and it just drops it out, just carries it out. The belt just will carry it out into, I don't know, some mountain range in Denver, drop it down in some valley or something along that lines. So, the dead are happening, whether you like it or not. And the guns are going to be blamed. Because apparently guns can walk into places and just start shooting people. instead of someone actually having a gun and using it to kill people. Because bombs, this guy could have taken out more people if he had a bomb. And bombs can be made at home. So, my thing is, maybe they should make murder illegal. And then maybe that'll stop them. Infection with a common cold might provide some level of protection against the COVID. The common cold. Research published today in a journal, well, actually yesterday, in Journal of Infectious Disease, in the Journal of Infectious Disease, and led by scientists at MRC, University of Glasgow Center for Virus Research. Okay, I'm not saying this. This is research done by the Glasgow Center for Virus. Okay, so me saying this has nothing to do with whether it's true or not, because I didn't do the research. Glasgow Center of Virus Research. So if you're going to fact check me or suspend me or what have you, or hate me because I said it, I'm just literally reading what I read in the news. So the Glasgow Center for Virus Research found that human rhinovirus, that is the virus, the common cold, triggers an innate immune response that seems to block SARS-CoV-2. You heard me right. The common cold can kick the booty of the COVID. In further studies, mathematical simulations, by this research team showed that this virus interaction might have a population-wide effect, and that an increase of prevalence of rhinovirus could reduce the number of new COVID-19 cases. You have to get sick in order to not get sick. Again, Glasgow Center for Virus Research. Not me. Not some tubby guy sitting in his attic. They're the ones. Professor Pablo Murcia, from the MRC, University of Glasgow Center of Virus Research, explains, our research shows that the human rhinovirus triggers an innate immune response in human respiratory epithelial cells, which blocks the replication of COVID-19 virus, or SARS-CoV-2, if you will. This means that the immune response caused by mild common cold virus infections could provide some level of transient protection against SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19, if you will, potentially blocking the transmission of SARS-CoV-2 and reducing the severity of COVID-19. This next stage will be to study what is happening at the molecular level during these virus interactions to understand more about more about their impact on disease transmission. We can then use the knowledge to our advantage, hopefully developing strategies and control measures for COVID-19. In the meantime, the vaccination is our best method of protection against COVID-19. I did my part. According to data from the U.S. Department of Justice from 2018, there were 3,581,360 violent acts committed against white people. 563,940 against black people. 734,410 against Hispanic people, or Latinx. and 182,230 against Asian people. Every race except for Asians was most likely to be victimized by someone of their own race. If you have been hearing about, if you've listening to the news and you keep hearing about the increase in attacks on Asian people, there does seem to be an increase. All right? What they're not telling you, because they are soft selling that somehow there is a bunch of, I don't know, skinheads wearing the red suspenders with the Doc Marten boots, or I don't know, Klansmen. There's some sort of white supremacist Christian band of people just kind of like running in a herd attacking Asian people. That when you see the closed circuit videos, when you see the phone videos, when you see the surveillance cameras, nothing could be further from the truth. Right now, in the United States, now I've seen the video of the young lady in Germany, where two people just kind of like randomly threw a punch at her. She's an Asian lady. I think she's South Korean. That's what she was. She's South Korean. She's in Germany, and out of nowhere, just two different, completely different time. One, a woman, just threw a punch at her. She seemed upset, so I'm assuming that the videos were real. She seemed upset both times, and there's some old guy that sits next to her, and he pulls his eyes and starts mocking Chinese language. She's South Korean, so he's an idiot. They were all idiots. They were all German, they were all white, and they all did something to this young woman because she is Asian, despite their ignorance that she was not Chinese. Because we can assume that that's why the increase has been happening, is because of the rhetoric. Because of that. And we can blame some of it on Trump here in the United States. We can. It's not like he was lying when he said these things, but he wasn't blaming Chinese people. He was blaming China, the government, the CCP, if you will. He didn't say blame Chinese people. He didn't say go out and attack Chinese people. But there are idiots that consume things differently, and some of these, and we're getting what we have now. This increase in attacks on Asian people. So here is what I was getting at before. When they said that everybody was getting attacked by their own race, by skin color, except Asians. And you see it in the news. What they're not telling you in the news is that most of these attacks are happening from black people. And they're in middle to lower income areas, Bronx, Oakland, San Francisco, which is unfortunate because San Francisco should be middle to upper, but it is what it is at this point. But there's where you're seeing these attacks, and it's the videos, it is disturbing to see where black people are taking Asian people at this moment. There's the incident just recently where the elderly Asian woman was peed on a subway, and no one did anything. No, they just let her get peed on. There's the old man. I think that happened like 2 days after the pee incident. The 65-year-old man that was attacked by another thug who was black. The incidents in Oakland where the old man was pushed. The two incidents in New York a few weeks ago, where the one old man was pushed and the other one was punched. All of these attacks are happening from black people. No, the black people are not attacking Asians. What it is that these attacks are happening, and the assailants, the perpetrators are black. So it's not the narrative that the media wants right now. They were salivating for the spa shootings. But by the way, the arguably the stupidest name that you can give these that they could have gave that shooting was the spa shootings. These were not spas. These were massage. This was a strip of massage parlors and porn shops and stuff like that. This is a strip. This is where men go to get happy endings. So to call them spas, as if there's cucumbers on your eyes and avocado face wash, and the hot stone massage. You're wearing robes, your hair's tied up in a towel. To call them a spa is a little it's a little disturbing. Whoever would call those things a spa, and this guy was struggling, even on social media, where he was struggling with the sex addiction, and he pretty much lost it. There's nothing to say that this guy picked out Asian people. Shooter was indeed white. There's nothing to say that this guy picked out Asian people. He just picked out what he thought was going to be the answer to his demons, was to take out the people, because most of the victims were Asian. So the media needed that. They can't sell it, because if people actually do look at the truth, they will find out that that's not the narrative that this guy. That's not the reason that this guy went in there, and killed these people. But right now, the disturbing thing, again, is the media selling that there is like this white wave of people just mowing down Asian people. That's hurtful in itself. And the second part is what is going on with these black people, because that feel that what is going on with these black people making these decisions to conduct themselves the way they do against Asian people. They couldn't be motivated by Trump. They can't be motivated by Trump. Where they live and who they are, they would have been completely against Trump. So, what is the motivation behind that? Because if it's simply just blaming someone because they're Chinese, they think they're Chinese, that is an incredibly ignorant, very childish approach on life. So, please, before it's bad enough that Asians are being blamed for this coronavirus, this COVID, this SARS-CoV-2. Bad enough that that's happening. Let's make sure that we're targeting the attackers and not skin colors or promoting, making these things, making the situation agenda-driven, making it political. So if your news outlet wants to do that, you let them do that, but make sure that you find out the actual truth as to what's going on. Then we have left-wing white male running for U.S. Congress responded Tuesday to a Twitter post from conservative commentator Candace Owens by tweeting an image of a Ku Klux Klan hood. He tweeted a Ku Klux KKK hood to Candace Owens. Liam O'Mara, congressman, had that. How does that make any sense to where you send a Klan hood to a black woman? The reason he sent it, Owens, a black woman, wrote that the number one violent offenders against black people are other black people. The number one violent offenders against Asian Americans are also black people. Now, if the truth is bothering you, that's between you and the truth. That's between you and God. But both Black Lives Matter and Asian Lives Matter are dedicated to stomping out white supremacy because clown world. That was a Candace Owens tweet. Because again, they are coming after people. So for some reason they are creating this white supremacist a wave of people just taking people out. Just taking people out that don't look like them. And Candace Owens just bottom lined it. Liam O'Mara, a history professor who's also a Democrat candidate for California's 42nd congressional district, replied to Owens with an image of a KKK hood with the text, "Yikes, you may have dropped this." Who is dumb enough to do that? I'm pretty sure he took it down because you sent the KKK hood to a black woman. It's disturbing because right now that is just like I've seen the videos. Remember the early protests back in the summertime, the early videos of white kids calling black cops the N-word. Oh, you're an N-word for sticking up for the man, blah blah blah. You're doing what they say that makes you an N-word. They feel that they're using the word properly, when indeed no one should use the word. The idea that even black people are using the word, the word was created in the 1800s to specify slave owners to specify the type of property that they had. And now we want to own it? Some of us say we need to take it back. When did we ever own that word? Why would we want to own that word? To me, I have a dark sense of humor. So the word to me is incredibly funny. The word is incredibly funny. They've used it on the Jeffersons. Richard Pryor used it. They used it on Sanford and Son. They used it on Archie Bunker. Excuse me. All in the Family. And the word is an impact word. It's an impact word. And used in a comedy setting, to me, is hilarious. But I'm not trying to own the word. It was meant to describe me as some sort of property. And I'm not even going to say racist then. It just was. They were slave owners in the South. Their property were N-words. They didn't call them Africans. This is what they were. And then eventually it turned into some sort of derogatory term to cut down black people, saying, you're still to remind them that you're still a slave. To remind them that you are still a slave. And then it got into the rap game. Eventually, as time goes on, it gets into the rap game. And it's just you're knocking around with your pals. That goes back to what I said earlier, guy teasing. And where it can get a little rough. But I don't want to own that word. I don't need to own that word. I don't think anyone should own that word. Should it be forgotten? I doubt it. I don't think it should. It's a good reminder of where we were and where we're at now. Even though they're telling us we're somehow whatever worse. We're somehow worse than we were in the 1800s through the 20s, 30s, and 40s, 50s. There's been huge strides, and somehow we are trying to claim a word that is more than 100 years old, that was derogatory. And we're trying to get back to segregation. And it's not even white people trying to do it. It's black people that are trying to get the okay on separating us by skin color. That's a huge setback. Exclusive Cigna. Cigna's critical race theory training. Don't say brown bag lunch and be mindful of religious privilege. Brown bag lunch is now a racist term. There is no it's saying that for some saying the term brown bag lunch would leave some people excluded. Somehow saying brown bag lunch leaves some people excluded from being a part of the Cigna team. Those who work at the massive insurance provider are saying that they are accepted to undergo sensitivity training. They consider racist and discriminatory. Lessons include reviews of concepts such as white privilege, gender privilege, and something called religious privilege, which is described as a set of advantages that benefits believers of certain religions, but not people who practice other religions nor religions at all. I don't know anyone that's keeping anybody from doing religious things. My assumption is that they mean Christmas. That, you know, if you celebrate Kwanzaa or Ramadan or Hanukkah is not a problem because, right, enough people hate Jews. Fascinating. So my assumption is that something like Christmas or Easter is going to be considered offensive, and it already is, of course. But yeah, the religious privilege, which is described as a set of advantages that benefits believers of certain religion, but not people who practice other religions or nor religions at all, or no religions at all. They are also pressured to comply with inclusive language outlines that suggest replacing terms like brown bag lunch with lunch and learn or grab and go. So I can't say brown bag lunch because that is leaving people, that is excluding people. I don't know what the origin of the term brown bag lunch is, other than that you made your lunch at home and you put it in a brown bag. That's the only way I know it. And if some historian comes along and tries to tell me that it was somehow a racist term, I'm not going to believe you because, again, it's in the name, a brown bag lunch. The little brown bag that people put their lunch in. Somehow, I'm being racist or I'm excluding people because I say brown bag lunch. Other suggestions include avoiding the phrase "no can do." I can't even sing a Hall & Oates song. You know what that means, right? That any day now, no one will be able to play "I Can't Go For That." Oh, no can do. No, I can't say "no can do," and replacing it with "unavailable." Employees are told to avoid gender descriptions of romantic partners or family members and not to use hip hip hooray at birthday parties so others feel included. Hip hip hooray is now offensive. I can't say also descriptions of romantic partners or family members. I can't say mother, father, wife, husband. Those are offensive. Microaggression listed included questions such as, do you even know what Facebook is? So I can't ask someone if do they even know what Facebook is? Not even a joke? I can't say that because everyone knows what Facebook is. People that don't use Facebook know what Facebook is. They're the ones that know more because they stay off of it. They're the ones that know more about Facebook because they stay off. I'm not getting on that thing. And are you a nurse? So I can't ask a young lady if she's a nurse. Now, my assumption is if she's white, you can ask her that. But if she's anything else other, are they going to get offended? I'm sorry. Are you a nurse? Oh no, you didn't. Is that what I'm getting at? I mean, is that what I'm getting? Am I right on that? So now you can't ask someone if they're a nurse because if you're not, if you walk through the hall and you see a young lady in some scrubs, excuse me, are you a nurse? Now that's offensive. Employees, this is all Cigna. Employees are also asked to go through a social norms checklist, societal norms checklist, and tick off boxes if they are white, Christians, or heterosexual. So that way they know they can box you immediately. Immediately they can box you. And why am I getting at this? Because all of those things are now getting into the hiring process of Cigna, where they're told they're not going to hire or to avoid hiring white men. Those things that I just read off to you, they're now being told to avoid hiring white men. In fact, in the story, there's a tech guy that mentions that he can't fill some of the positions because he's not allowed to hire white men right now. You say, well, go out and find some black people. Well, go ahead and get some black people to come in here and apply. It's not the impossible thing, but what if some of the people I just come up with some strange scenarios, like maybe they already have other jobs, or maybe maybe another job that is better. Maybe the number of techs is proportionate to the percentage. The percentage number of techs is proportionate to the percentage number of the population. Since there's more white people, there is a possibility that there's going to be more white techs. Since there's less black people, there's the possibility that the percentage numbers would be less. I'm guessing. I'm using the truth if you don't mind. But as for talent or ability to do the job, what's the holdup? But Cigna is making sure that their techs and other departments are getting much more stress, because now these people have to do the jobs of two people because enough people of color are not walking through the door. That's a whole nother issue. But Cigna giving you their little corner of the critical race theory world. That is just leading us, again, I've been saying that this whole critical race theory thing, our education system, and the cancel culture, those are the three nails that will change this country forever. The last nail is gun confiscation. And every single time they tell us, and people, they're not coming for your guns. You're an idiot. They laugh at you about how they're never coming for your guns. Meanwhile, they're coming for your guns. Thanks for joining me today as I rambled on about the royal family, as if I really care. And the whole Sharon Osbourne, Piers Morgan thing. It's just a microcosm of the cancel culture. And I'm telling you now, if you've got something to say, that is common sense, that doesn't fit the narrative of the critical race theory, just don't say it. Live your life amongst your friends. Pick the very few friends that you have, because all your Facebook friends are not your friends. All your Twitter friends, well, you don't get any friends on Twitter. You're just a bunch of adults on Twitter. But all your social media friends are not your friends. So you cherish the family and the few friends, the few actual friends that you have, because those are the ones you can trust. And bite down hard, at least for the time being, on what the truth is. Leave the whining and the bitching and the truth telling to someone like me, who's not necessarily going to give a crap one way or the other on where they land, because all we want to do is land on the truth. That's what's important to us. Because if your job or your social circles or what have you, if those things are important to you, bite down hard on what. And if you need someone like me to tell the truth, you write me and say, get this on your air. I have this complaint. So this way I can tell whoever's listening to me those things, so that they know that they're not alone, because you and that person and you and that person and that person and that person know that they're all thinking the same way, so that you're not alone. Because I do not have to be right. I just have to start the conversation. Thank you for joining me. A to Jet Noise, Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, Parlor, MeWe. Join me again the next time, and we'll see what other madness that the world has in store for us. Meanwhile, the crisis on the border, absolutely nuts. Touch on the border tomorrow. I think we'll be here tomorrow doing a thing, and give you some updates on the utter craziness that's going on south of our border, that the media is not even allowed to question. A to Jet Noise, thanks. See you soon. Till then, big hug. Be good. Be still. Enjoy your life.